friends. Welcome back to the Eric Zane Show podcast, a daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures. So we got after it on the meeting. Typically, I'll finish that meeting up, and then I'll start to dilly-dally. But not today. No, not today. The meeting always goes like about 30 minutes. But then I'll get done with the meeting, and I'll take the dogs OUT. I don't want to say it because then they'll act like we're about to go OUT. Excuse me, I'm putting the chapstick on the lips because of the burning sensation. That's how it is around here in the winter. You're constantly putting like lotion on your hands and your legs and your chapstick or whatever the fuck on your lips. Because it's so desperately dry and you're subjected to the cold. So that's pretty much me. But no, we had a good meeting. Nothing major to report. No, nobody's butt hurt or anything. We are now almost, tomorrow will be 11 months since I started doing the radio show on Q100. I've got no complaints. Everything is fantastic. I spent Friday responding to folks who said that the Burn King, our pal Freebeer, went after Freebeer in his usual sidestepped kind of weird way, I guess. And I'm busy getting that audio and video right now to share with you at a later point in time. It's always just so weak. If the best they can do is dance around saying my name, you're really at a disadvantage. You know, if you think that going out of your way to not say my name is in any way going to do anything to upset me, that's just the silliest thing ever. I don't give a shit. Ooh, we're not saying your name. What a punishment. I don't give a fuck. They play my material on Saturdays on that show. My name said plenty in that. And I'm glad. I'm glad that you still play my material when that show was funny. And I'm sure the audience is appreciative too. You know, at the end of the day, though, the people that listen to that show now are fucking LARPers and dorks. That's who listens to that show on a regular basis. Bob says the show seemed happier and more upbeat with Freebeer gone today. Well, I didn't even know he was gone. That's probably going to come back to haunt them, as someone will point that out, and then he'll get the blues again. Bob says, I listen daily. No, you should. You absolutely should listen daily, because if you hear anything that's, Easy's got to know about this, that's when you do it. You like reach out and say, Easy, you won't believe what I heard today. So that's cool. All right. Meanwhile, I stumbled upon the oddest thing the other day. And do any of you remember an actor, old school actor, named Jan Michael Vincent? You may remember Jan Michael Vincent as being a heartthrob in the early 1980s, early to mid 1980s. Airwolf. This motherfucker was Airwolf. That's Jan Michael Vincent. This might be the most telling tale about how substance abuse will destroy you. He's dead now. He's been dead for some time. But this is what he looked like when he died. Okay. He's even missing a leg. This was taken in 2014. I'm not sure what year he died, but this is what happens when you constantly are getting hammered, filling your body full of drugs and alcohol. This is, talk about a fat-a-thon, a way to lose weight. I got it right here. I mean, he actually has one eye closed. Like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? He died, I believe, in his 70s. But he doesn't look even remotely like the way he used to. It sent him to an early grave. As I was reading, I discovered that he had numerous serious crashes. He'd get fucked up and then go drive. And then he'd get into a crash. This is why you need to stop drinking too much. My God. Wow. There you go. That is the sad tale of Jan Michael Vincent. Bob says that he admits that 85% of our friends' free beer and hot wings is shit. I think that's low. I think it needs to be higher than that. You mean to tell me you think that 15% of that show is good? That's making me question your judgment, frankly. I would like to know of 15%, what are you like, yes, this is coming up. This is great. I love this. Because, dare I say, there's not going to be anything that you say is actually an acceptable thing to listen to and you find interesting or funny. Sometimes they'll do something that's kind of compelling, but it's not funny or anything like that. It's just shit. Come on now. Okay, I've got a number of interesting kind of like short things to get that have audio and video with them. Not the least of which is Illinois basketball player Terrence Shannon Jr. I'd never heard of this guy. It doesn't matter. But he they brought him back to the arena for the game over the weekend to unveil that because his jersey, his number had been retired. So they bring him out onto the court, and his folks are there, and they're going to unveil the jersey and the banner, and then it goes to the rafters, and everybody has a good time and is happy. This is how it happened. This is the way it was in real time during this. Actually, let me watch it on X because I can get a bigger view of it. Okay, here you go. This is how it went. All he has to do is pull that, and then it's going to unveil it. Look at this. Oh my God, it's upside down. It's fucking upside down. Wow. That is as embarrassing as like in that fictitious movie Spinal Tap when they were dancing around the little Stonehenge. Okay. Sometimes when it comes to game operations, moments like this, there might be someone who's like an intern who does something like this, and you should never do that. I find this all the time with the hockey team. Sometimes they'll give, like, for example, we have, you start every game with the spinning of this horn. And it's an air horn, and you crank it. And I've said to these people, if you're going to get somebody to do the horn, make sure they have enough strength to crank the horn so that it sounds okay. Because if you just barely turn the... So, despite telling these idiots that, you'll see people that are up there that are like 4 years old trying to spin the fucking thing, or cancer patient who's just recovering. It's awful. It's like, dude, this has to go off without a hitch. How could you possibly have actually set that up so that the thing is upside down?
The ceiling of State Farm Center.
You can hear the drum roll. The PA announcer has to say, "Oh my God, we suck." My God, that is fantastic. Well, anyway, he's his, I guess, number goes to the rafters. Congratulations to him. There you go. All right, moving on. Ding. A new, it seems to me like the congressional, whatever the fuck, still trying to make it so that AM radio is a thing. Now, the makers of cars have decided that they no longer need to put AM radio into the vehicles. Now, if you were to ask the average person, when was the last time you listened to FM radio in your car? Most people would say not that often. And if you were to say, when's the last time you put AM on? My God. On my car, our car is 3 years old, and you have to touch the screen and then find where it says AM radio. Like if you go to FM, even that's tricky, but AM is like hidden. Nobody listens to AM radio. The Coins, who I work for, they have an AM signal, and it's dark. They gave it away to like a local church that wanted to put their telecast, their radio broadcasts on. Gave them here you go, and they put the shit in a box, gave it to them. Here you go. My God. That actually is a thing where people can give away an AM signal. Nobody listens to AM. Murder Lover Linda says, we listened to the Tigers games on AM radio when I was a kid. Remember you're listening to AM radio and you go under a bridge and then you can't hear it? So there's barely any AM radio stations that exist. But the AM radio industry has said they've banged on the door of the government, Congress, to say you need to make a law so that we can still have AM radio. And they've tried some nonsense that Americans rush to the AM radio when there is an emergency. If I'm with a group of people and an emergency breaks out and we don't know what's going on and one of them says, quick, rush to the radio and turn on AM, I'm leaving that group. I don't want to be around those people. Now, this is just AM radio in cars. Not like at your house. That would mean that if you're in your house and an emergency happens, people would have to rush to their car and turn on the AM radio in their car to hear this. What a fucking waste of time. And Congress, I think, is falling for it. The Congressional Budget Office is releasing its cost estimate for the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act of 2025. Automakers are saying that the electromagnetic shielding needed to make AM reception possible is expensive. The Congressional Budget Office has disagreed for the third time. So it's looking more and more like the Congressional Budget Office is like, no, you have to keep doing this. You have to keep putting this in your cars. The act would mandate that AM radio access in all passenger vehicles sold, imported, or manufactured in the U.S. The legislation aimed at preserving AM radio's role in emergency communications would require the Department of Transportation to implement the rule within 1 year of enactment and review its impact every 5 years. The mandate would expire after 10 years. What a fucking waste. Trump is all about, fuck this shit. We're not doing this. He needs to do this. Maybe the radio industry is like a lobby. Maybe they've spent a lot of money to make this a thing. Now that I would believe, except radio doesn't have two nickels to rub together. So I don't know how that would even be possible. But, I mean, come on. AM radio? That's just ridiculous. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, this happened last week. I haven't yet gotten to it. Has announced the upcoming nominees for induction. You've got, okay, I'm just going to go over these individually. Bad Company. Paul Rogers and Bad Company. Absolutely. Massive. Should have been in a long time ago. The Black Crowes. Without a doubt. Fantastic sound. Love the Black Crowes. Absolutely. Outcast. I don't know anything about them. Fuck those guys. Joe Cocker. I can't believe Joe Cocker is not in there now. What? Fish. Jam Band. Fuck off. Chubby Checker. Eat shit. Yeah, just because you came up with the stupid dance. Chubby Checker, he had the song, Let's Do the Twist or whatever the fuck. And then his next song was, Let's Do the Twist or Let's Twist Again. And then his next song would be Twistin' on the Bayou. And then his next song after that is Twistin' by the Pool. Everything is twist related. Twist blues. I remember we had an interview with Chubby Checker back in the day. It was Easy and Greg and Chris. And I forget how it is. We started a fight between him and Lisa Marie Presley because we talked to her and we made up a story that Lisa Marie Presley said you should not be in the rock and roll. He's been trying this for like decades. You should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Chubby got all pissed off at Lisa Marie, even though she never said that. All right, so Chubby Checker can fuck off. There's no way. Billy Idol, yeah. All right. I can get behind Billy Idol. Some band called Manna. No idea. The White Stripes, no. The most overrated band in the history of music. So awful. I don't think you should be allowed to be nominated if your band is some jerk playing a guitar with his wife hitting out the simplest of beats on the drum. Meg White does not know how to play drums. If any of you can hold a beat over a few bars, you're as qualified as Meg White is to play the drums. The White Stripes suck. They always did. Soundgarden. Oh, my God. Fantastic band. Without a doubt. Oasis. No. UK. Sure. Not here, though. Fuck off. Joy Division / New Order. I don't know anything about any of that shit. No. Cyndi Lauper. No. Okay, it's pop. Mariah Carey. No. Pop. In fact, Outkast, they can't be in it either. If I were running the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the first thing I would do is take all of the acts that aren't rock out. So, whatever. Run DMC, and I would take anything related to the Run DMC exhibit inside of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'd throw it out front and included with everything else and just light it on fire. Nobody wants that shit in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I would make it truly a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just rock music. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame became silly when they opened it up to all these different forms of music. Just dumb. Make it about rock and roll, not about all these other acts. They can have their own fucking Hall of Fame, the Pop Music Hall of Fame, but not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's stupid. What a waste of time. All right. And then I'd put Ted Nugent in there. First thing I'd do, take out all those acts, and then I'd put Ted Nugent in there. Ted's a fucking dick. There's no question. He's a jackass. But, God damn it, Ted should be in for the Amboy Dukes and for Ted Nugent. Linda says, I agree, except for Ted. Well, that's because, A, you don't know good music. And second of all, you let politics get in the way of how you feel about it. One of the most underrated guitar players that has ever existed, Ted Nugent. He's the fucking shit. He can do at 75 years old now with a guitar what most people who play guitar now just wish they could do. True, he's a dumb fuck. But he should still be in the Hall of Fame. I think that's it. All right. That's the end of my discussion about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There is a student that has decided to sue Michigan State University. For $50 million. This is a student who survived the 2023 mass shooting. The student has said that the school is to blame for the mass shooting. The kid filed the lawsuit last week, Wednesday. This was right at the anniversary, the day before the shooting's second anniversary. Justin Bowman was in Berkey Hall where this all happened in the classroom when the shots were fired. The kid hid among the bodies of his classmates and trying to stop the bleeding of one of the victims who eventually passed away. The lawsuit said the kid still suffers post-traumatic stress disorder as a result. Kid's lawsuit says that the university's administration knew of severe security issues on campus, having heard complaints from teachers and students several months before the shooting regarding a lack of locks on campus buildings. Well, I'm guessing that if that's gonna be the crux of your lawsuit, you would have to produce that those complaints had been made. We shall see. School policies like mandatory in-person attendance without the option for virtual learning were also cited as contributing factors to the shooting. So I guess the kid is like, look, if I had the option of virtual learning, I wouldn't have been there to get shot. Oh, and the lock set up on these doors, the doors were unlocked. They needed to be locked. Now, this is where I think the student might stand a chance here with this $50 million lawsuit, or at least of winning it. Right after that shooting, Michigan State overhauled its security system to the tune of millions of dollars, including adding locks to most of the classrooms on campus and requiring key cards to access campus buildings after hours. Yeah, if your campus has a school shooting and you think you're going to get sued, it's probably a good idea not to put on locks, because all that does is indicate that you are guilty. You know, if I'm MSU, I do a big campaign that says all of our doors and all of our locks will remain open. We are not adding more locks. We are actually leaning into America's most school shooter friendly university in the United States. We are a welcoming, with open arms, we will welcome all school shooters here. You can't go and change the locks right after a school shooting. That's a bad look. You need to embrace that you are the most accessible towards everyone. Black, white, male, female, fat, skinny, Asian, old, young, school shooters. The second you try to keep the school shooters out, you're admitting guilt. So I think that the school made a great mistake by trying to fortify the school. Chris says you should have removed the doors. Exactly. No doors at all. You should have a separate entrance for school shooters only to get in. Linda says she loves MSU. She writes, the reason they caught the shooter fairly quickly is because MSU was forced to fix their security cameras after Brendan Santos from GVSU went missing. Yeah, and that's not great. I mean, if you want to stay on as a school that is, supportive of school shooters, you don't want to have security cameras. You want to have as little security as possible. And MSU was known for that. But once they decided that they had to up their game on security and make it harder to get into those buildings, they then are opening themselves up to a lawsuit. Now, if I'm running the school, I don't change those locks. Okay? To me, it's worth it to have less security and also less of a chance of getting sued. And then just hope and pray that no one decides to shoot anybody up. That, I think, would have been a better plan than adding more security. So going forward, this is probably going to be an open and shut case for this guy. And this kid wasn't even shot. He was just there, and all he was doing, he's just watching people bleed out as blood pours out of their bodies. And then he claims he was traumatized. And I can't think of how anybody would be traumatized if they're watching quarts of blood flow out of students and friends and loved ones in the classroom, just laying basically in a body salad, hoping to survive. I don't know how that could possibly traumatize somebody. But as soon as this person saw that the school is changing the locks, that opened the door for a lawsuit. Bowman is going to wind up with an extra $50 million. And that's what's going to happen. What happened to Mr. Bowman was completely preventable, said Nora Hanna, an attorney representing Bowman. The university chose to leave its doors unlocked. The university made the decision to leave the buildings open to the public. They knew that they were serious safety concerns months before the incident. It wouldn't surprise me if Michigan State said, yes, that's the way we built it. Bowman is suing for $50 million, naming the school, its board of trustees, the MSU Police Department, and other individuals as defendants. Bowman is not suing like the maker of the gun. He's not suing the maker of the sneakers that the shooter wore. He's not suing the mom and dad. No, he doesn't need to. He's got Michigan State, who boldly planted their flag with zero security to combat school shooters. If we know anything about Michigan State, we know that that school was built on not protecting innocent lives. The one thing two things that school is excellent at: teaching people on the wrong side of the hard living line how to become farmers, and not protecting people. We need look no further than Larry Nassar. His tenure at Michigan State his fingers were actually in young vaginas more than they were not in young vaginas. And the school knew it and said, we don't give a shit. So it should be of no surprise to people that they have no care in the world at Michigan State to not actually protect children. My God. Anyway, a $50 million lawsuit on the books. Should be an open and shut case. All right, I've got some more to get to. But I've been drinking a lot of water, and I need to go tinkle. So I want you to sit right there, and I'll be back with more. Jeremy says they don't even protect adults. Example, Mel Tugger. Oh, without a doubt. He wrote Mel Tigger. And then he said, autocorrect ruined my joke. Yeah, and you were only one letter away from a Maureen incident with Mel Tigger. Good God. Before I break, though, thank you to my good friends at Kuiper Tree Care. Online at KuiperTreeCare.com, Kuiper, treecare.com. If you're in the West Michigan area, you got a tree down, they're going to take care of it for you. Let's say you want to get a tree removed like we did. They'll take care of it for you. You want to trim a tree. This is who does it. They have 3 certified arborists on their staff. They can go over tree risk assessment. Yeah, this needs to go. Or now this tree's in great shape. They do all the stump grinding too. Any type of storm damage, they can help you there as well. Their number is 616-828-8225. 616-828-8225 for Kuiper Tree Care. Online at KUIPER treecare.com. If you're thinking about getting a mortgage, I want you to call upon the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage. From anywhere in the U.S., that's right, buy now, refinance later. Call 231-332-6505. If you're a first-time home buyer, you go to the front of the line. You've got a lot of questions. You want to know what's going on, how you can do it. Get into your mortgage today. Get pre-approved so you can start shopping for a house. Call Mario at 231-332-6505 for the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage. All right, here we are, February 17th. We got about 2 months before the tax deadline. Get started today. Get started today by reaching out to Tag Accounting online at tagcpa.net. Call 616-301-9516. 616-301-9516. Or you can email Troy at tagcpa.net. They're online at tagcpa.net. They can help you with anything you have. Tax, accounting services, you name it. From anywhere in the U.S., Tag Accounting. Thank you so much. Okay, I will be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere, and we shall continue. Maureen is talking about the time she said the N-word on the Patreon bonus podcast. Maureen said, I accidentally, that's not true, said a forbidden word on Patreon once. It was awful. Yeah, that was not an accident. You were quoting someone who says it. That's not an accident. You made a bad choice. She said, I was with a racist. And I was talking to him, and I forgot the quote. He referred to the people that we were serving as N-words, but she said it. And I was like, what? Who says it? Who actually says it? No one actually says it. They just say N-word. He would actually say the N-word. What kind of an idiot, when telling a story about someone saying the N-word, would actually say the N-word? Chris says, didn't you go back and edit it? It was a rare edit on the EZ Patreon podcast. Yes, you're goddamn right I edited it. Yeah, you cannot say it was an accident. She says, I didn't mean to say the N-word. I meant to say N-word. What are you, 3? I'll give you this. It was innocent, but it was not an accident. You said what you said. Maureen or Linda says she was relaying a story where someone else said it. Yeah, I know. That's what I just said. Absolutely. But you still shouldn't quote it. If I'm hanging out with someone who says the N-word, let's say I'm with a pal, we're having coffee, and he's gratuitously saying the N-word, like out in public. If I come here to tell you that story, I'm not going to say, yeah, I was with my friend and he's a real asshole. I'm never going to talk to him again. Why, Easy? Well, because he kept saying, and then I would say that word. I would never do that. Okay? Because I would just say the N-word. I wouldn't actually say it. I would say N-word to replace it. I would never actually say that word. Okay? Because I'm smart. You can choose one of two things. Either dumb or you said it on purpose. You can't say accident. You know what's an accident? If this is a ledge and I go and I knock that off my hand, that's an accident. You can't accidentally say a word. That is such a pile of shit. Maureen says, I know you are kidding, or at least I hope you are, because you all know my heart and you know I would never say that word on purpose. Well, then pick it. Dumb or on purpose? No one alive wouldn't say N-word. So that's just ridiculous to suggest. All right, she's saying dumb. All right, perfect. You can definitely say dumb, but you cannot say it was an accident. And now you know. You can never, ever say that word. My God. Murder lover Linda said it was seared in her brain from him saying it and it slipped out. Bullshit. No way, no how. Insane to even suggest. Maureen, you need to tell your dumb sister to shut up. She's actually making it worse. My God. I would expect nothing but this type of lambasting if I did this. Without a doubt, if I ever said that, you would owe me this. Linda writes, fuck off. Oh, my God. That is fucking great. Anyway. What do I want to get to? I don't know. Let's go over this. What are you looking at in this photo right here? The story reads, Michigan mother arrested after allegedly abandoning children in home for 4 to 5 years. I guess mom wasn't there and the kids had to fend for themselves. And they ended up finally taking the kids away. And this is a snapshot of the bathroom. This could be either the NFK's bathroom or these maniacs. This is what the bathroom looked like in this house. It's odd that there's a vacuum just outside of it. Okay, now that's shit on the door jamb. Now, I've seen this all the time in my own house. But my God. This is what happens when you let young people live unsupervised. You get this type of living conditions. Now, when the cops finally were able to get the kids out of the home, they had been in there for 4 to 5 years. That's 4 to 5 years of disaster. In the home, they found a 15-year-old boy, a 13-year-old girl, and a 12-year-old girl. All by themselves. The sisters were locked in a bathroom when the cops arrived. All right, so hold on a second. There's a lot to unpack here, but I think you have to, for starters, take those children and put them in an institution, because you don't want a 15-year-old boy who thinks that it's okay to live like this. David writes, how is that bathroom floor any worse than dog puke on your bedroom floor for several days? Okay, well, let's back up. Let's unpack. It was one day. The puke happened on Wednesday night. By Thursday night, it was not clean. On Friday, it was cleaned. So we had about a 36-hour window of puke on the carpet. So you're suggesting that 4 to 5 years of feces on the wall and the toilet, the outside of the toilet like you're looking at here, is the same level of bad as 36 hours of dog puke on the carpet. I don't know if anybody would actually agree with that. And let's perfectly understand here that the reason why the puke didn't get picked up, it was never for I'm being lazy. Never, ever. I covered that with you. You know you are busy as a beaver if you cannot find the time to clean up puke that is on the floor of the bedroom. That just goes to show you, in my opinion, this is an attribute. If you have a husband/brother-in-law who's so focused on improving the well-being of the family overall through the job, you want that puke. That's a great sign. If that puke stays there and becomes putrid even more, that is a sign that EZ is having a great fucking day. That shit is getting done. It's all about priorities. If you were to come to my house and you were to walk through and you see piles of shit on the floor, there's puke on the wall, a dead cat in the corner, and a dog that's about to die, that is all proof positive that everything's coming up roses for me. Maybe a dead body, a person. That means I'm busy. That means I'm productive. And I'll take that to my grave. David says, I would expect shit from the NFK, but not puke. Well, again, it wasn't my puke. It was the dog's puke. And I did my best. Besides, it's there on the carpet. No one's going to see it other than Pooh Bear. It's not like people are walking in the house to see it. So no judgment there. You all should give me a pass because I had a great week last week. Molly is wondering who the fuck the NFK is. Now, there are times on the show when you have people who are still getting caught up. Molly's in that boat. She hasn't been with us as long as some of you have been here. So it's always a good time to ask those questions. I'm glad you did. The NFK is my brother-in-law. He lives with me. NFK stands for No Filter Kevin. He is, I think he's about 65 years old. You may have heard stories about him in the past. That is what he goes by, No Filter Kevin. I won't give all the background of him here, but he's with us to stay, and he's fucked up. He's been doing a new thing lately where I talked to you about how he's always talking to himself. Now he whispers to himself, but it's like constant. And it's fucking creepy because like Saturday, Sunday, I wake up and drinking my coffee in the living room and they're watching TV and I hear, and it's like straight out of a fucking horror movie. And I'm like, it's just fucking frightening. So unnerving. And I don't even think he has any idea that he's doing it. Does he whisper, did ya? I really, the element of the whole dynamic of him when he asks, hey, do the Griffins have a game? Yep. Do they? Yes. Who they playing? Now, if it were the Red Wings, pretty much everybody knows who all the other teams are. But this is, American Hockey League. Nobody knows these teams. And I go, the Springfield Thunderbirds. Are they? Sorry. I shouldn't complain about those things. Maureen says the NFK is a lovable curmudgeon. Chris says we love the NFK. Molly, are you aware of the Gary from Men's Warehouse story? At some point, you need to be caught up to speed on the Gary from the Men's Warehouse story. It makes its way into the show every so often. Please let me know via the chat if you are familiar with the Gary from the Men's Warehouse story. It is the single most prolific moment that has ever happened on this show. She says no. David says, please retell it on the anniversary. Oh, I'm sure it'll be told before that. It happened in November of 2022. And I know some of you are like, oh, is he going to tell it? Is he going to tell it? No, there's not enough time. This is a half an hour story. And every time it's told, it's better than the last. It becomes more seasoned with more nuance. Maureen asks Jeremy, have you heard the Gary from the Men's Warehouse story? He has. I'm going to stop talking about it right now because if I talk about it anymore, it's going to make you want me to tell it that much more. And I don't want to do that to you because it's like the ultimate blue balls. And all these people know this goddamn story. But they're still like, oh. This story, you know that comedian, Bert Kreischer, telling the story about the Russian mafia? This one is a more epic story than that. Not even close. I could take this on the road. I could show up in towns to tell this story. They don't need to know me. They don't need to know the NFK. They don't need to know anything about anything. I could start telling this story, and it would be a reason enough for admission to the show. I could just title it like on a marquee. Eric Zane presents the Gary from the Men's Warehouse story. And all I could do is just say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my brother-in-law, and then basically set the stage. And then when I'm setting the stage, it would be moments where I'm showing pictures. I'm talking about things like this with the shit on the walls and shit in the toilet. Giving you all the background. Aram says, I've heard this story many times, but have actually a couple of follow-up questions. All right, as long as they're not laced with tism, you're free to ask them. I'm getting a lot of honorable mentions for the hot zester story, also involving the NFK. We've got the NFK hot zester story. We got the NFK, the Gary from the Men's Warehouse story. We got the story when the NFK got fired because they didn't have biscuits and gravy in line at the hospital. Chris says that Aram's story, a question is going to be, how many countries participate in the 4-country tournament? Can I just say how shocking that was, and then not how shocking it was that you couldn't grasp that there was no more than 4 nations in the 4-nation tournament? Here I am on this show. I talked about, so the NHL, they divide up the Finns, the Swedes, the Canadians, and the Americans. It's the 4-nation tournament. And you were like thoroughly confused by that. All right. Anyway, let me get back to the story. Authorities said piles of garbage, mold, and human excrement found throughout the house. So if you're a 15-year-old kid and you can't clean up the shit, once they get these kids out of the house, they need to lock these kids up. The landlord of the home had not heard from the mother since December, with rent last being paid back in October. So I don't know what they mean by abandoning the kid for 4 or 5 years. Maybe she would pay it, send him a check and but the kids were in there alone. That's what they're saying. The oldest kid said the mom left in 2020 or 2021. They had been surviving on prepared food dropped off by the mom or a stranger once a week. What? Kids had not been to school since their abandonment. They passed the time watching TV or playing games and obviously smearing shit on the walls. The girls had not been outside of the home for several years, with the boys sleeping on a mattress on the floor while the girls slept on pizza boxes. Where do they get the pizza boxes? The children were taken to the hospital for evaluation with soiled clothes, matted hair, and nails so long it was difficult to walk. Again, this is proof positive that all kids are stupid. If you're a kid, and most kids, if you were to leave any kid alone for any amount of time, you would have this same instance happening, especially nowadays. Now, if you go back in time to when I was young, I was getting myself off to school at age 8. No big deal. Make myself food. If I didn't want to go to school, I'd call the school and say, Eric's not coming today. No big deal. Nowadays, the way kids are, they suck at everything. The kids are now in the care of a relative. Yeah, I feel bad for that relative. The sheriff says, I've never seen a worse scenario than this. It's still talking about 3 kids, though. I thought it was 4. All right. They're talking about how abusive this is. What's weird is the 15-year-old, though. They were free to come and go. They could have left. So I don't know. Isn't there a disorder where you don't, if they say, I forgot what it's called, Helen Keller syndrome or Stockholm Syndrome or something like that. I don't even know if this is it. But essentially, though, you've got 3 or 4 kids. It says both in the story. I don't know what. No, I guess maybe it was just 3 kids. Sorry. So you take those kids and you got to deprogram them. And then you have to pretty much demolish the house and then start over with the kids. I mean, God knows what it's going to take to get these kids actually on the right track. My God. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. That's awful. Well, we got we made a lot of ground with that. We opened up the door for another retelling of the Gary at the Men's Warehouse story, but I'll probably forget about it. It's been a little while since we've told it again, but I don't see it happening right away. I want you to be thinking about the asshole of the day. It happens in moments. Before we get to that, though, Rick at TC Paintball is inviting you to book a paintball event today. When you reach out to him, please mention my name. You can get more details at tcpaintballgr.com. Terrific place to gather up your friends, maybe a bachelor party, workplace team building. Get the kids together in the neighborhood, have a good time. You can do the Little League, or the Kids League, I should say. That happens every Wednesday at TC Paintball. Book an event today. Head to tcpaintballgr.com. When it comes to cannabis in West Michigan, Green Medicine Shop in Greenville, Michigan is ready for you. Michigan's newest recreational facility, 21 and up. You can also purchase your cannabis medicinally with a med card that you can get at thegreenmedicineshop.com. So 18 and over with a med card, 21 and over recreationally at the Green Medicine Shop. Find out more information at thegreenmedicineshop.com. They're in Greenville, Michigan. I know you can go to any shop to get your cannabis, but I'm asking that you go there and mention me once you get there. All right. Meanwhile, Frank Fuss. Head over to buyinsurancehere.com if you're interested in finding out more about getting health insurance through healthcare.gov. Now, anybody can go to healthcare.gov and work their way through that process, but it takes a little time, and there's a pretty high chance you might mess something up, and then you've screwed up your policy, and it's going to take some time for you to go back and be able to fix it. So do it right the first time and have Frank walk you through every step of that. He does it no charge. Frank gets paid by insurance carriers, not by you and I. Go to buyinsurancehere.com. If you want to get started today, just fill out the form and Frank will reach out to you and schedule you either for a phone call or a Zoom or an in-person meeting, whatever you want. He can also help you get started on a life insurance policy. I can't stress about that being important. I can't stress enough about that being important. Get a life insurance policy. Also, if you're getting ready to take advantage of Medicare or Social Security benefits, Frank will help you out as well. You can hire me on Cameo, cameo.com/Eric Zane. You can buy T-shirts through my website, ericzaneshow.com. And you can do that. Also, if you want to market yourselves on this show, if you have a business or you have someone you know or love who has a business, you're thinking that maybe you want to take the plunge on marketing yourselves, reach out to me via eric@ericzaneshow.com. All right. Maureen came up with a decent idea. Maybe the retelling of the Gary story would be happening in the spring when the NFK has to have something nice to wear to Madison and Ash's wedding. That's brilliant. All right, let's look forward to that. Because I know on the suit that he wore at Jacqueline's that he dumped a whole gravy boat of gravy on it, on the suit coat, and it's still there. So we got to get that fucking thing dry cleaned. I never did tell that story. So that all will work because here we are on February 17th, March, April, May. So 3 months. 3 months, 20 days. The wedding is actually happening on Friday, June 6th. I will tell the story. Let's see. That week. I'm not sure what day. Please remind me. All right. Let's see. Nominations for Asshole of the Day. Linda's nominating O.J. Simpson. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. I mean, yes, he's an asshole. He's a sadistic murderer. Chris K was the asshole of the day last week. I forget why. Didn't he ruin a story or ruin a joke? Amy says, be careful that Stalkerito doesn't know too much about the wedding. Oh, my God. Molly says, me, please. No, you're not an asshole. Are you kidding me? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know, man. I do have one. It's not great, though. For putting dude's jersey upside down on his banner, University of Illinois, you have won the asshole of the day. It's a very weak asshole of the day. But I got to go let the dogs out, so I'll leave it right there. As always, you are the best audience. And I appreciate you very, very much for being here and supporting this podcast. That is it. I'll talk to you on the Patreon a little later on. Till then, goodbye.